Sometimes one small act of kindness can change your life, and sometimes one single second can destroy it. This is the story of Michaela Dawson, a hardworking young woman, a certified nursing assistant, and the day she walked into Judge Frank Caprio's courtroom. She came in nervous, tired, but hopeful. She left with a $475 fine, and the reason why will shock you. It was a gray, rainy morning in Providence, Rhode Island. The kind of morning where the sky feels heavy, the streets glisten, and patience runs thin. Inside the courtroom, a line of people waited, each holding their own small story, each hoping for mercy. When her name was called, Michaela Dawson stepped forward. Her mother followed closely behind, clutching her handbag, whispering a quiet prayer under her breath. They stood together before the bench. Judge Frank Caprio, known for his compassion, his calm tone, his fairness, adjusted his glasses and looked up. He smiled, not with authority, but with warmth. "Miss Dawson," he said gently, "you're here for a red light violation. Let's take a look at what happened." The large screen behind him flickered to life. A video clip from the traffic camera began to play. Rain poured down in sheets. Windshield wipers moved frantically. The yellow light flashed, just for a moment, and then turned red. And there it was, Michaela's car rolling through the intersection just as the red light appeared. Judge Caprio paused the video. He leaned forward, squinting at the time stamps on the footage. "Miss Dawson," he asked softly, "was this during a rainstorm?" "Yes, Your Honor," she said. Her voice trembled slightly, but it was steady enough to show respect. "I was driving carefully. I wasn't speeding. The light changed faster than I expected. I didn't want to slam the brakes and skid." Her mother nodded beside her. Judge Caprio listened carefully. He didn't interrupt. He just nodded, taking in every word. Now, for those who've watched Judge Caprio for years, you know that this is the moment he often reveals the heart behind the robe. He doesn't just see a case. He sees a person. And that day, he saw a young woman who looked exhausted, like someone who had been carrying too much for too long. He asked, "What do you do for a living, Miss Dawson?" She answered, "I'm a CNA, sir. I work at a care home. I do night shifts mostly." The judge raised his eyebrows. "A CNA? That's one of the hardest jobs out there. You're helping people every day, aren't you?" "Yes, Your Honor." There was a softness in his eyes now. He looked at the rain outside, then back at the screen. He replayed the video one more time, slower this time, watching frame by frame. "You know," he said finally, "sometimes these yellow lights are too quick. Especially in bad weather." The room was quiet. You could almost feel the tension lift a little. Michaela's mother exhaled, whispering something like "thank God." After a long pause, Judge Caprio smiled. "Miss Dawson," he said warmly, "you were driving carefully and you have no prior violations. Considering the weather and your record, I'm going to dismiss this citation." "You owe nothing." For a moment, everything was still. Then, relief, pure relief. Michaela smiled for the first time. Her mother let out a small laugh, part disbelief, part gratitude. "Thank you so much, Your Honor," Michaela said, her voice light with joy. Her mother added softly, "God bless you, Judge." And Judge Caprio smiled back, already reaching for the dismissal stamp, that little symbol of mercy he'd used countless times. The paperwork was ready. The stamp hovered above the page. But then, in that exact second, something unexpected happened. Michaela lifted her hand. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was a joke that went wrong. But in front of the entire courtroom, she raised her middle finger. Yes, the middle finger. The entire room gasped. It was as if the air had been sucked out of the building. Her mother froze, eyes wide with horror. A whisper spread across the courtroom benches. Someone in the back muttered, "Oh no?" Judge Caprio didn't move. The stamp stopped midair. For a full 5 seconds, no one breathed. And then, slowly, he set the stamp back down. He looked at Michaela. The kindness that had filled his eyes moments ago was replaced with quiet disbelief. "Miss Dawson," he said carefully, "I was about to dismiss your case. You are about to walk out of here owing nothing." The courtroom was silent. Even the hum of the lights felt loud. But that gesture, he continued, was completely disrespectful, not only to this court, but to your mother and, most of all, to yourself. Her mother's voice broke. She didn't mean it. "Judge, please." She just got nervous. Judge Caprio shook his head slowly. "I understand, ma'am, but respect costs nothing." He pressed the stamp down firmly onto the paper, not as dismissed, but as guilty. "The fine is reinstated," he said calmly. $475. Her mother covered her face in shock. Michaela's joy collapsed into tears. Her hands trembled. The realization hit like a wave that half a second of foolishness had just erased the mercy she'd been given. The judge didn't raise his voice. He didn't lecture her. He didn't shame her. He simply said, "Let this be a lesson, Miss Dawson. Sometimes what we do in 1 second can change everything." And with that, he moved on to the next case. But no one in the room forgot what they'd seen. Michaela and her mother walked out slowly. The rain was still falling outside, heavier now. The world felt colder. As they waited in the hallway for the payment clerk, an elderly woman sitting nearby leaned over. She had been watching the entire thing. She said gently, "Sweetheart, that judge was ready to forgive you. Don't ever let anger steal mercy from your hands." Michaela nodded through tears. Her mother said nothing. She didn't need to. The silence said everything. Now here's the part that no one talks about, the emotional weight that follows moments like this. Because this wasn't just about a fine, it was about a lesson, one that money can't really measure. We've all been there, frustrated, embarrassed. Moments where pride slips out faster than we can catch it. But the truth is, forgiveness is fragile. It lives in small gestures, in gratitude, in humility, in respect. And when you break that, it doesn't just hurt others. It hurts you. Judge Caprio has always said something powerful. You can't teach respect through punishment, but sometimes punishment reminds us why respect matters. And in that courtroom, on that rainy morning, 1 second of impulsive disrespect turned mercy into a $475 lesson. Later, when the cameras stopped rolling, people said Michaela sat quietly in her car for nearly half an hour before leaving. Just staring at the ticket, thinking about what she'd done. Thinking about how close she was to walking out free. Her mother finally said, "You know, honey, life gives second chances, but you have to meet them with grace." And that's the truth, because mercy isn't guaranteed. It's a gift, and gifts have to be respected. A few weeks later, Michaela paid off the fine. She never argued, never appealed, but she told her co-workers what happened, honestly, humbly, hoping they'd learn from her mistake. "I was this close," she said, holding her fingers an inch apart to owing nothing. "And then I blew it." Don't ever do that. Don't ever take kindness for granted. Her co-workers listened quietly. Some smiled sympathetically. Because we've all been Michaela at some point, careless with someone's kindness. We've all forgotten, in one way or another, that gratitude is a choice. And so, when Judge Caprio ended that session, he left everyone in that courtroom with a silent message, one that still echoes today. Respect costs nothing. Gratitude costs nothing, but losing them can cost you everything. So the next time someone shows you mercy, whether it's a judge, a boss, a parent, or even a stranger, remember Michaela Dawson. Remember the rainy day in Providence. Remember how close she came to walking away free. And remember how one small, thoughtless gesture changed everything. Because in life, forgiveness is the easiest thing to lose and the hardest thing to earn back. 1 second of gratitude can open a door. 1 second of disrespect can close it forever. So choose wisely. Take a breath. Show respect. And never, ever let anger steal mercy from your hands. This was the story of Michaela Dawson and the $475 lesson she never forget. Respect costs nothing, but losing it can cost you everything.